Welcome to the fall CLEG meeting, or the Clarendon Live Entertainment Work Group meeting, or better known as the CLEG. My name is Cedric Sutherland from the Arlington County Planning Division. I'm the staff liaison to this group. The purpose of this meeting is to provide a forum for the restaurant community and residents to address concerns, issues that may arise from the concentration of live entertainment uses in the Clarendon neighborhood. I would like to thank everybody for attending. Before we begin, as you usually do, and give the spiel. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few items to orient everyone to the to the virtual environment. Today's meeting is available to stream from the county website via Microsoft Teams link. There's also a dial-in option for those who wish to use it. If you lose internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us by phone. Please keep your video turned off and microphone muted until you are called on. These tools are your toolbar. If you do not see this toolbar, try tapping on the center of your screen and it will pop. All public comments must be shared verbally for the record. When called upon to speak, you must unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon. We won't have the ability to unmute you. If you are dialing in by phone, press *6 to unmute. When you're finished speaking, please mute your microphone again. Lastly, this is a public forum, and today's meeting will be recorded and posted to the county website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. Before I start, I would like to thank everybody for attending again. I know this is usually a later date than we usually have. There were a lot of moving parts during the fall, which you'll hear about coming up. So before we get into it, as we usually do, I like to start the meeting by taking a roll call for the representatives and member establishments of the community groups. So again, please unmute yourself and stay present if you're here. Also, please identify if you are representing more than one establishment. So for the first item, for the first establishment, Barbell. All right. Second, Lion Hall.
Yeah, I'm here for Lion Hall, Liberty Tavern, and for Northside Social.
Thank you. Next, O'Sullivan's.
Yes, I'm here from O'Sullivan's.
Thank you. Spider Kelly's.
Here for Spider Kelly's.
Mexicali Blues. Don Tito.
I'm here from Don Tito.
Thank you. Wilson Hardware.
Here for Wilson Hardware and for Laley Mediterranean.
Thank you. Buena Vida. All right. Ambar.
I'm here for Ambar Clarendon.
Renegade.
Yeah, I'm here.
Clarendon Ballroom.
Clarendon Ballroom and Cocoa Bees here.
Smokecraft.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. East West Coffee. East West Cafe. I'm sorry. And Mr. Days. All right, moving on.
Mr. Days is present. Mr. Days is present.
Okay, thank you. from the community. Do we have persons here from Lion Village? I thought I saw John on the call earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cedric. I'm here.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else from Lion Village? All right, Lion Park. Clarendon Courthouse.
I'm Scott Barton. I'm president of the Clarendon Courthouse Civic Association.
Thank you. Ashton Heights. We have anybody from the Clarendon Alliance? And I saw John Musso from the Chamber online. I'll note him. And any other community group that's represented that I did not call? All right, thank you. All right, moving on. I posted the agenda to the website yesterday, but here it is for you. We've done a welcome and introductions. Next, we'll have an overview of some updated enforcement efforts that the county has taken since we last met. And then we'll go through the normal course of having different county departments report out, provide information that's pertinent to the group. And then we'll go through and receive community feedback and have a response from the restaurant establishment, and then we'll wrap up. So for the first topic of the updated enforcement efforts, I want to recognize that we have heard the concerns about noise and live entertainment issues stemming from the concentration of the uses in this neighborhood. And so in the fall, the county manager established a live entertainment task force, which culminated with a county board work session on November 13th. And now I will turn it over to Aaron Miller, Deputy County Manager for Public Safety, to provide the update of what the task force has come up with and our updated enforcement efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, Cedric. As Cedric mentioned, my name is Aaron Miller. I'm the Deputy County Manager for Public Safety here in Arlington. Pleased to be with you this afternoon and happy to give you a little bit of information about this and sort of tell you what we've been working on and what we're looking to roll out, and then what we'd like to continue to work on. As was mentioned, in response to a number of complaints, not only from residents within the Clarendon live entertainment borders, but also from some business owners, the county manager convened an interdepartmental work group to take a look at the issues, understand where we could, as a county, refine some of our processes, and where we could offer better customer service, not only for our constituents, but also for business owners. This also comes on the heels of some staff changes across the county, including within the Arlington Restaurant Initiative, and some additional staff resources that have added there. And some of you have already met Renika and are familiar with her, so they'll be up on the agenda shortly. What this task force really looked at was how we could do two things. One is be more responsive to concerns from the community in real time, and two, provide more clear guidance and enforcement processes for businesses. And I'll give you an example, right? Noise violations are one of them. If you're a business owner, one of the things that you deal with are noise complaints, and they may not originate from your business. They may originate from another business. And a lot of the things that we have heard from you all is that they could be very subjective, right? It may not be something that is as cut and dry as it could be, and it's never at the point of infraction. Several days, if not a week later, you may get something in the mail that says, "Hey, look, you got a noise violation." And likewise, from neighbors, what we've heard is frustration that they call the county, they complain about noise, or they complain about quality of life issues within the boundaries of the Clarendon Live Entertainment group, and they don't see anything done, and they see businesses that are allowed to operate, for instance, outside of established permit hours or that kind of thing. So, what have we done in response to this? Well, one of the things that we've done, and some of you may not have even noticed this, but we're trying to better align live entertainment permits to all have the same hours. So believe it or not, as permits were issued for some reasons, there were 30-minute windows on one side or the other, maybe an hour, where there was differences. What we've been trying to do is, as those permits come up for review, is consolidate those into hours that are then similar across all of the businesses. And that way, not only the businesses, but also our officers and county officials, as well as the neighbors, know what to expect, so that we're holding everyone essentially to the same standards and being able to, make those minor administrative changes as we go forward. And obviously, not looking to do that without any transparency, but you'll see that that's already happened in one or two cases as some folks have come up, and we're also trying to hold those hours to some of the businesses that aren't considered, quote, within the CLEG, but are nearby, right? So we want to make sure that even those neighbors that for business owners, maybe not formally bound within the CLEG boundaries, but we still want to make sure that we're holding everybody to the same set of standards. So we've sort of been looking at adjusting some of those permit hours too. Really, administrative change, obviously something that we can work with businesses and do and have that accomplished. The second thing that we've done is we've taken a look at how we've done enforcement, and to be able to, one, be more responsive, and two, relieve some of the burden from the police department, because to now it has been on the police, who have really been concentrating on public safety issues and should be concerned with issues of more severe issues of public safety, and to trying to keep businesses, pedestrians, and everything in good working order there, not have to deal with some of these smaller quality of life issues. We've put forth a proposal in the county manager's budget for next year, and actually use some funding to go ahead and start this, but to be able to fund overtime for our code enforcement officials, as well as our fire marshal, to be out and to help assisting the police department with their evening Clarendon details on the weekends. What does that do for us? Well, it does a couple of things. One is it provides additional county staff who can be responsive to issues in the community. Two, it provides those county staff who can be there to work directly with a business owner on an issue. So, it's not just the police department who's there to say, "Hey, look, you got to turn it down, you got to turn it down." We're going to have the officials that can actually enforce those ordinances, whether that be occupancy through the fire marshal, or whether that be other issues of zoning or noise with inspection services division with code enforcement. Moving forward within fiscal year 26, this is something that we hope to keep permanent. Our budget proposal involves additional staffing for the fire marshal's office. Primarily what we're concerned about is life safety, right? We're concerned about overcrowding at venues. We're concerned about, we saw this on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, excessive crowds, being able to appropriately manage those crowds, make sure that everyone is staying safe as they're experiencing what Clarendon has to offer. So in 26, what we're hoping to see is permanent fire marshal staff that'll join the police department during the Clarendon detail hours, and that'll help supplement through through some of the additional authorities that they have. What this is not looking to. I heard from a number of business owners. This is not looking to go and go on raids in businesses. What we're looking is, one, to be proactive, to help identify problems with your staff before they become an issue, and to help correct those problems before we have to move to any type of enforcement actions. And then it's also to be able to add additional public safety resources for our community members, because we've heard from them that that's one of the things that they do like to see, and that's one of the things that does help us make sure that we can keep a safe working environment for everybody. Along with this, we are looking at, over the long term, a number of other items, right? We're taking a look at trash, right? We've heard from a number of businesses as well as residents about not being enough trash cans, about there being issues with street cleaning. So we're looking at how we can supplement that. We're looking at how we can reinforce and amplify the messages from the Arlington Restaurant Initiative when it comes to good neighbor policies, how we can provide the ARI team with additional support that then in turn helps our businesses be compliant with ABC regulations, for example, or to be a good neighbor for those within the community. We value the sort of mixed urban space that we have between, a vibrant residential community as well as the businesses that we have within the entire Clarendon Live Entertainment district boundaries. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting those and that we're helping to create the environment where both can coexist and, offer what is fairly unique within Northern Virginia. I will pause there. Two things that I want to do is, if you have specific questions, issues you would like to bring to me, anything that you would like to have input on, feel free to send me an email. Mine's very easy. It's A.L. Miller, Miller, at arlingtonva.us. Obviously, if it's a specific issue with a code or zoning issue, or with public safety and directly to police, absolutely feel free to continue to use your thank you, Andrew, for putting that in. Feel free to continue to use your contacts, and I encourage you to reach out to those permanent members on the Clarendon Live Entertainment Group. That's what this group is for. But I just wanted to let you know I am here from the manager's office and from the perspective of the senior county government officials to continue to support the great work that you all are doing in building community, building trust, and building this work group. And so I am happy to take 1 or 2 minutes worth of questions if Cedric says I have time. But otherwise, feel free to shoot me an email, and happy to be here with you all today.
Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you. Scott.
Thanks for the presentation, Aaron. I'm curious, if the budget's approved, when do you think those overtime hours for code enforcement and fire marshals would go into effect?
Sure, great question. We have already started some of that. We identified a little bit of overtime support. The fire marshal has been out a few times already. Code enforcement, likewise, has been out at least 1 or 2 times, and we're hoping to have them out at least once or twice a month between now and February, March timeframe. But the fire marshal's already out, and that'll continue on. By the time the spring rolls around, we'll be able to have them out at least 1 to 2 nights every week, and then that'll be a permanent rotation that we'll be able to ramp up by the time we get to the budget fiscal year, beginning of the fiscal year next summer.
Thank you, Andrew Darnell.
Yeah, thanks, Cedric. Aaron, I guess I'm a little, first off, taken aback here that there is a live entertainment task force that was formed without any kind of notification or conversation with the CLEG as a whole. Yeah. This is the first I'm hearing about that, and as a business owner, that to me seems very wrong and one-sided that if there, as I have pointed out twice this fall, there have been some very nasty emails that have come down on business owners from the county, and I've responded both times to those who sent them. If you have problems with specific establishments with specific issues, that you should be addressing those with those specific individuals, not threatening licenses as a whole.
Yeah.
Just the fact that this exists at all, and there's been no conversation, and you talk about ARI, there's been no ARI training in 20 months. So where is this coming from? Why is this now an issue? And why were we not included in any conversations about major changes, especially when you start talking about changes of hours?
Okay. A lot of questions there. I'll take it from the beginning generally, but I'm also happy to have an offline conversation with you. First and foremost, we recognize that within the county, we had some process issues that we needed to address. Whether that be the handoff between the police department and code enforcement, whether that be some of the things that happened between planning and zoning and some of the communications back around. Brand new staff within the Arlington Restaurant Initiative, changing demands within our police department, and what we've seen as a fairly rapid increase in the popularity of the Clarendon area and Clarendon nightlife over the last 8 or 9 months, coupled with a number of specific complaints that went to county board members. They asked us, they said, look, take a look at the internal processes and figure out what we're doing and what we need to do better. So that's sort of what the genesis of this was. And as you've heard, we're not making major changes on any of our enforcement actions. We haven't added new rules. Individuals that have been in consideration for permit hours, we worked with them when their permit came up. You can go back and check the public record. I don't want to single anybody out, but you had 1 or 2 businesses that were up, and the planning staff worked very well with them to modify the hours. I think it was maybe a 30-minute change on each end, to be able to shift it to be in line with the other businesses. We're not reducing any hours. The CLEG permits as a whole are going to be up in May. And as we move forward with that, there will be discussion if we see, hey, look, you're an hour outside, you're an hour earlier than the people next to you. Would you mind moving an hour later? If you say, oh, well, my dinner service starts at that time, you still have the ability to go through the permit. We're not unilaterally making changes to anybody's stuff. This is done in continued collaboration. Why I'm here today is because I'm telling you how we're working moving forward, right? Our commitment as we work on these things, like hearing from you about there not being ARI training is a great piece of feedback, right? Something that we know we need to work on. And so as we move forward, that'll be one of the focus areas that we want to support. To date, as I mentioned, it was internally focused, and we're looking at getting ourselves together and figuring out what resources we should initially start with. As far as the emails go, I was not on those emails. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you'd like to send those to me, I'm happy to take a look at them, and I'm happy to talk with staff. The conversations I've had with business owners, and again, I'm not going to call anybody out, but those who are on the line who have talked to me, I've appreciated the conversation. I think everybody is in line, that everybody wants to be a good neighbor and appreciates sort of what I've explained to them and how we're looking to make sure that we can have a continued positive relationship for everyone within our community. Is that good for now, or was there something more specific you wanted? I'm sorry, or there were a couple of things in there, but I'm happy to set up more time too.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, obviously, I recognize that the county believes that they got to do more internally to get stuff online. But, part of the reason that this whole group exists and the part of what ARI was supposed to do and everything else is supposed to be you guys coming to us and talking to us. And when you're talking policy changes, task force, and everything else, this is not supposed to be some one-sided thing where we're getting blindsided in a public forum. So, I think that there's a lack of communication and transparency about what's happening here. you know, and to say that all of a sudden Clarendon all of a sudden boomed in popularity in 9 months, that's just factually not accurate. So, you know, I mean, you know, there should be a further conversation with business side of it, but I recognize we got other things to talk about today. So
would you, I mean, I'll just say this, would you dispute that your gross receipts have increased over the past 9 months?
Yes, I would dispute that. Okay.
Well, there's some other business owners that would say the other way, but I appreciate that. I'm happy to have additional conversation with you. Just shoot me an email, and I am here throughout the holidays. I will be at work on the 23rd. I'll not be at work on the 24th and 25th. I'll be at fire stations on the 25th, but I'm also at work on the 26th and the 27th. I am likewise here on the 30th, not on the 31st or the 1st, but I'm happy to meet on the 2nd or anytime after that. So just shoot me an email. I think Jay was next. I'll try to be quick. I don't want to hijack everybody's meeting.
Yeah, thanks so much. Jay Brodsky. I'm a resident in one of those residents who's been having trouble with the noise. So I appreciate the efforts you've put into this so far. And I really want to thank the businesses who are here and this effort to build community. Like, I think it's super important, and I'm glad we're having these conversations. I do worry, as always, about the ones who don't think that these meetings are important, who don't show up, even though it is a requirement of their live entertainment permit. Strangely enough, it's the same ones that cause me trouble. But I'm interested specifically about how you're going to develop this sort of singular live entertainment schedule in the CLEG, because I'm trying to figure out how it's going to take into account some of the unique architecture of some of the members here, whether they're have a lot of glass frontage that's facing residential areas, or maybe have a roof deck and demonstrated troubles keeping the amplification levels down. Is there going to be like a lowest common denominator here? Where are we headed?
Well, I think for, you know, this sort of first review that's coming up, like I said, our goal was just to make sure that there are those little things where, you know, say there was a business who's operating just outside the boundaries, and the fact that they have, I mean, when I say just outside, like across the block, the fact that they're a similar typed business to those that are near them and, you know, have different hours was like, hey, that's a little weird. You know, can we talk to you about making sure we align those? If your business, if you have no issue with the business, with that problem with the business, then great, you know, let's do that. But again, if there's businesses that have some of those certain things that, you know, are particular to them, obviously the staff in CPHC is going to continue to work with them to make sure that, you know, what they would like to request or any amendments or modifications that they need to make for operational are considered. You know, public safety does weigh in on those. CPHD does do a good job of asking, you know, for instance, you know, how they've asked both code and police, how has this business been? Have there been a bunch of noise complaints? How have those been handled, right? You know, they've been working with you on mitigating some of this noise. And that is taken into consideration as part of the staff report that goes up to the board and in discussions and briefings with the board. I don't want to speak too much for CPHD, but that is in the sort of mix of the cake that gets baked. And I'm sure, you know, that they can fill you in on more of that if you want some more details. Is that good, Jay?
I think so. There's not going to be actually a single live entertainment schedule.
Ideally, I mean, look, in a perfect world, we'd be able to say, hey, between X hours and X hours, this is what we want. But we recognize, again, that there are businesses. We'd like to keep it as tight as we could. Obviously, the noise ordinance has something to do with that. You know, just for one, clarity, and two, ease of understanding, right? It is difficult to be able to explain to someone that, hey, this business has a different hour than the other. It doesn't, you know, and so, you know, we'd again like to work through that if we could, help make it a little easier. But we understand where there's things for a business that aren't like that, and that's their right to be able to request in the permit, you know, within the bounds that are established by the ordinances.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Sure, John.
John.
Yes, Aaron, I want to thank you for joining us. I think this is the first time we've ever really had a higher level official join us at one of these meetings. And thank you for all the work you've been doing behind the scenes to try and, you know, work all this out. It sounds like the way you're headed is the way it should be going. So it's transparent for everybody, and it's immediate response. The request I have is that you make it very clear to the community that if they do recognize something that's out of sorts, whether it's noise or drunks on the sidewalk or anything else, exactly who they should contact so that it's a timely response. With the police, it's very easy. We know the non-emergency number to call. But in the past, one of the toughest things we've had is trying to get through to code enforcement with no clear way to contact them, and just a feeling that, they sort of don't want to hear from us. So we make it really clear on, how, if somebody has an issue, who they contact so it can be handled in a timely manner. But again, thanks for all your help on this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great point. One of the one of my things in my portfolio, I get to work with the team in the 911 center, the call takers, and we, I recognize even me, even when I call, even when I call the non-emergency line, sometimes I don't get the best customer service. And I recognize how frustrating that could be. And I recognize how difficult it is to have somebody say, well, I don't know, or we can't help you, or something like that. And so we, that is a process, right? We continually make sure that we want to connect people to the right resource, the right place at the right time. And so we are working with that, with the non-emergency number. The 911 center is implementing a number of things, but using some technology to help reroute non-emergency calls in a better fashion. We're doing this on the towing side as well. I've got live entertainment and towing, so the two really easy, non-controversial things. So we're working on that, and the goal is obviously that having those individuals on the street, county government is. We recognize that the community is not a 9 to 5. Particularly in these areas of nightlife, not just Clarendon, right? We're looking at Crystal City, looking at some in Ballston. You've got 23rd Street South, right? You've got some other places where you've got things that don't operate between 9 to 5. And so it's our goal that by having those people on the ground, that we'll be able to connect those mechanisms a little bit quicker and a little bit easier for you. So. Stay tuned. More to come on that. That's, again, part of the ARI and education and communication as we continue to work.
Good. Well, we're also glad to hear that you're putting more emphasis on the ARI, because it has been very effective in the past, but in the past couple of years, it's sort of fallen by the wayside. I know there've been staffing challenges for the police, so that's really good to hear too. Thank you.
Last, before we move on, I believe it's Patrick from Renegade. Yeah, you have a question or something, comment?
Yeah, hi. I got a lot of questions, and I'm gonna keep them kind of small.
Sure.
But we got problems with bars in town. Let's just agree that we have some. But the bars in town aren't, as a whole, making a ton more money than we did previously. In fact, we've lost a number of restaurants in town recently. The turnover rate's really high, especially on our street, which is North Highland.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other side of the triangle.
Right.
So this is not Las Vegas on our side of the triangle, right? But we and through COVID, we had at least 50 visits from the clipboard crew to regulate our behavior in a way that they didn't regulate the rest of the county.
Okay.
So it looks like we're once again expending a lot of county resources on regulating Clarendon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really hear a lot about Ballston or the strip clubs in Crystal City or any of the other places, Roslyn, Courthouse, what have you. Virginia Square, like none of those places exist on the radar except for us. And it's becoming a stop and frisk kind of situation. I also think that, we have problems with a thug parade that comes in annually with all manner of motor vehicle that, you know, hundreds of people coming down the streets, and all they get is a police escort.
Mhm.
And yet we've been told that absolutely nothing resembling a bar crawl can happen in this town because, of course, that's a problem. You know, I could go. I've got about 10 items. I would love to talk to you, and I'll talk to you offline sometime.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, this town isn't a bunch of millionaires making a ton of money off of the masses.
Yeah.
The masses really only go to the Vegas Strip on Wilson Boulevard, which are great for them. We would like to see something down here, anywhere resembling that kind of popularity, but it doesn't exist. I personally have never been made aware of any complaints about noise violations, and yet I'm about to get, you know, visited by the clipboard crew once again, and I'll be subject to more scrutiny than anyone else in the county.
Sure.
You know, largely. And I feel that I'm speaking hopefully on behalf of everybody else in the room, because it is important. And I will honestly end this whole conversation with, I have a $100 gift card for anybody in any of the neighborhood groups right now who can tell me their favorite thing on my menu, because I don't actually believe that anybody, you know, even knows they're not my customer. I live near you guys, and you live near me, but I don't know that you buy my product. So a show of hands, anybody who wants to tell me their favorite item on my menu. But if that's not forthcoming, I really have a hard time seeing this as a cooperative group. I really see it as a group that is more of a lording down a new set of dictates. And it's not trying to make us more successful. It's just trying to, you know, manage us so that we make your lives a little better. But we were here first.
Okay. I'll go in reverse order. Lacquered salmon, as a matter of fact.
$100 gift cards, all yours.
I can't accept it, but I appreciate that. That's one thing. When I first moved to the county, I lived at 1301 Courthouse, apartment number 912. And so, and then, well, actually, when I really first moved, I was in a corporate apartment at the Avalon above the, well, what is now Clarendon Crossing, I guess. And so I walked down the street all the time before my wife moved up. And then we lived in 1301 Courthouse for quite a while. So two things. One is, also, I come from New Orleans, by the way. I, you know, I'm no stranger to nightlife and that sort of thing. We are not, and my solemn promise, and I have talked to the fire marshal and the police department code enforcement about this, is we're not walking around looking for problems, right? This is one, complaint based, and two, supposed to be collaborative and focused not on enforcement. This is focused on making sure that, to your point, public safety, pedestrians, you know, the experience of business owners to operate in a safe environment, and to make sure that those visiting have a safe and good time. That's where our priority focus is. I can't speak to COVID. I mean, I know public health and a number of other officials were out for that with a different set of requirements, but, you know, my focus and what I would like to see is simply providing more resources to support keeping a safe environment. Again, not coming into, you know, come in and say, let me see your list of ABC managers and let me see this permit and why don't you have it posted up at the door and that kind of thing. If that's where they get, send me a note, because that's not the direction that they've been given. So that's one thing. The second thing is, what we hope to do is take the lessons that we learn in Clarendon, where we think you can have a vibrant set of community expectations with mixed residential, commercial, and transit opportunities and everything, right? The 15-minute neighborhood or whatever the New York Times wants to call it. And how do we take that, and how do we go to the Crystal Cities, to the 23rd Street South, to the Boston, to the Virginia Square, and how do we improve that experience there to have the same thing? So that's what my goal really is with it. And I'm again always happy to sit down and figure out how we titrate and adjust accordingly to provide that, right? When it comes to people rolling down the street in a car parade, or the illegal motorcycles and all that stuff, yeah, I mean, I agree. We don't want that. Turns out that the best thing that we can do is help to keep them out of everyone else's way, and that's one of the reasons we choose to just do an escort. A lot of times they'll get into some dangerous situations when we try to pull them over, or try to get them to stop. But I'm happy to talk to you more about that individually, and send me a note, and happy to come over.
I do appreciate it, but
Yeah.
we've been having this same meeting for about since I opened.
Okay.
And what I have found is that the only time I've seen someone's live entertainment permit threatened is when I missed the last meeting, and I got an email saying, if you missed this one, we have the right to take your permit.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if that's what we're enforcing, I don't feel like I take it for what it's worth, but
Yeah.
Agreed.
Patrick, I would like to speak to that. I know Andrew referenced it as well. When you guys agreed to the use permit conditions, there's an expectation from staff and from the community that you agreed to participate in here. And it wasn't a threat, it was just more of a reminder. I had my comms person read over it, and so the language, it may be considered for if you're not participating in the meetings. I will say that going forward, starting in January, there's a new board. They're taking a look at these things with probably a different eye, and so we just want to make sure that everybody is aware, they're participating, and they're holding up their end of the bargain. So that's where that email came from. That was the purpose of it. It wasn't to threaten anybody or scare anybody into it. It was just more to make people aware that, hey, this was an issue, and we're trying to compel compliance more than slap people on the hand and shame them. So I apologize if anybody felt threatened or something.
But Cedric, I'm gonna just tag on what Patrick says there, though, and the same thing I said before is part of being a part of this is not just coming to a meeting every 6 months to have everyone kind of dump on the bars and restaurants when we're trying our best just to stay in business and trying to be good neighbors. Part of this is supposed to be that there's supposed to be public interaction and dialogue between the county and establishments to come up with training program systems and everything else, so everyone's on the same page and everybody can agree, that things are going well or not well or whatnot. And that's been completely lost. And to come in and kind of hear new things and everything else, I mean, I hear everything Aaron's saying, it all sounds great, but where's the dialogue and conversation with us offline as operators? Because there's plenty of conversation, sounds like, going on with public, and plenty of conversation going on within the county, but none of it's coming to us until we get here and we get an agenda that doesn't have any information on it, just to kind of get the same situation again. So I mean, I'm sorry, Patrick, for jumping in here, but I agree with everything he's saying, and I just think it's important that you hear that side of it from us. Like, we want to be good stewards. We all want to have successful businesses. We want to work with everybody. We don't want to be in conflict. But it starts off with the county working with us at the same time, instead of keeping us on the sideline until we show up to this twice-a-year meeting where everything happens.
All right. Thank you for your comment, Andrew. There'll be more opportunity for community and restaurant response. Thank you, Aaron, for your presentation and offering to answer those questions in regard to updated efforts on enforcement activity. Next, we would like to move forward. I'd like to highlight in the spring, I informed the group that Samantha Brian, the business outreach specialist, left the county for greener pastures, unfortunately. But I'm happy to inform you that over the summer, Renika Sama, let me make sure I get it right, Sama Lenge, has filled her role, and I will let her introduce herself as we move forward in the agenda to department updates. So I'll turn it over to Renika.
Yes, thank you so much, Cedric. Hello, everyone. And you did say my last name correctly. I'm Renika Samalinge. I am very new. Thank you so much for just the patience in allowing me to continue to learn all the things. If I'm being honest, Sam is amazing. And I knew she was amazing because I know that she did so very much. And so it's been a little bit of a learning curve and a lot of information to kind of just get together and to learn. And so I know some of you I have met, some of you I have not had the privilege of meeting yet, but we are still in that training trajectory as well. And just to kind of mention as well, I know some of you are familiar with Herring. He is currently out on leave right now, but I am working and being trained by Corporal Hernandez, which I can't find you up here. And I think you're in here somewhere. But Corporal Hernandez, oh, hey, she's been helping me through the process as well. So really excited to just take some of the things that you all are saying at face value and to kind of implement them as well. I know it's come up a lot about ARI training and things that has not happened, obviously, yet. We're in the process of gathering all the information and everything that's needed for that to happen. And then when there was a training that was scheduled, a few of us in the police department got sick. And so we didn't want to, even though it was just scheduled, so not many, I don't think any communication was out yet, but then we got sick. So we're in the process of rescheduling that. Yeah, my updates are similar to what Aaron Miller has shared. We've been working closely along with the fire department to kind of just make sure for businesses and the community that the noise and things and the live permits are under control, live entertainment permits. And so I did send an email, I believe that was back in over the summer in August or September, just making sure that everybody had their accurate permitting. When I went out briefly to some places with Corporal Herring, we realized that many people either did not have their permit, they did not recall their permit, or didn't have that information readily accessible. And per the county manager, that was something that we were beginning to work on. So I took the liberty of sending an email to everyone who has a live entertainment permit just to refresh what that information is like. For some of you all, I recognize that was my first time having any communication with you all. And for others, we had already had some conversation together. But no additional updates, just continuing to meet everyone within the county. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Corporal Hernandez, if you have anything additional to add, that would be great.
Hi, I worked with Sam a few years ago, exactly 2 years ago. I worked with her alongside her, so I am very familiar with what she was doing. So I got brought back temporarily just to help Renika get up and running and understanding how to do these things. So I will be out, and I met with several of the business owners. Just touching base, seeing what's needed. How do we get back to where Sam dropped off when she left? So I am around. I'm pretty sure all of you guys, if not most of you guys, have my email and my phone number. Please feel free to send me a text. I know what we did before was just work hand in hand with each individual business, alongside with the civic associations and all the other stakeholders, to make sure that we're all getting what we need. But you do have to understand that there are multiple businesses and there's two of us. And, we do have families and we do have outside lives. So while we try to keep things running like smoothly, there's a lot going on. We are having extreme staffing issues. And like we get your calls directly or your emails directly. So it does take a little bit for our stack of work to get through. But we're always here. Again, most of you guys do have my personal cell phone and my work email, and just feel free to reach out whenever you need stuff.
And just so you all know, I just sent my information in the chat. For those of you who don't know it, I honestly don't think most of you would have it because I am new. So my email and then my work phone number is in the chat as well. But thank you all, and it's so great to be here with you and to kind of pick up, as Corporal Hernandez said, where Sam left off.
All right, thank you. The next we'll move to public health. I know they have the yearly presentation on vector control. If you can be brief, so we can give people some of their time back and hear some more comments from the community and the restaurant group if needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. So my name is Candace Wooden. I'm the environmental health supervisor for the public health division. Public health has the authority to license and inspect food establishments. What I'm going to talk to you about today, and I put a slide up, is the public health vector control program, which provides education and free rodent control consultations to residents, businesses, and the public. If you have questions and concerns, please reach out to us. Our environmental health technicians are the ones that conduct those consultations. And the tips that they wanted me to provide you today are to maintain your outdoor trash areas, ensure your dumpsters are closed and provided with drain plugs, clean and maintain your grease container barrels that are behind your establishments, clean up trash and keep the back areas maintained to prevent rodent activity and concerns for all. And then again, feel free to call our office. There's also a QR code if you want more information about what our program does. And the QR code will also take you to the Permit Arlington database if you would like to submit a concern. That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Sharon.
Let me see. Public health. Next, we have fire. You want from fire here to
Yep.
provide an
Hi,
update?
Cedric. Sure. Good evening. My name is William Dwyer. I'm with the Fire Marshal's Office. Most of what Aaron talked about earlier is basically, I would just reiterate, we're going to be joining with the Clarendon Nightlife Detail to assist them when it comes to issues of crowding and overcrowding and issues of egress and things like that. If you guys remember back on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, we had issues of that nature, then that was something that we were able to assist with. Really, that's the only update that we would like to add, is that we'll be there as resources for everyone and help to ensure the public safety both inside and outside the establishment.
All right, thank you. Next we have zoning.
Hi, I'm Chanel, the zoning inspector for the Clarendon area. I really don't have any updates. I don't have any open cases in Clarendon as of right now, so that's great for us. We will continue to do our monitoring, but as of right now, no cases is good and zoning has no issues.
All right, thank you. Next we have code enforcement.
Hi, Cedric. Good afternoon, everyone. John Santafamia with the Arlington County Code Enforcement Department. Just to reiterate what Aaron was speaking of earlier, We do have a plan to have inspectors periodically out with the fire marshals actually to monitor noise levels. We do have the ability to issue citations if we feel that the noise is in violation of the ordinance. The only other way that we could do noise enforcement is if we get a direct complaint from a specific location at a specific time. It would have to be something that's pretty consistent where we can come out and actually take noise readings with our noise machines. But we will be participating with the fire marshals on enforcement. That's the only thing I have to update you.
All right, thank you. And next is me from the planning division. So as previously stated, there is a county board review in May, and so staff will be coming out and conducting continual inspections, providing reports and updates about compliance with use permit conditions and other things of that sort. Additionally, we have new establishments. Hyde Social has assumed the use permit for Pamplona. And then additionally, we have a new establishment looking to come online, Recess, formerly at Arlington Rooftop. They have a tentative hearing in February to seek approval for a use permit for live entertainment. Additionally, John Carton from Lion Village asked a question today that prompted me to add some additional slides at the last minute about filing complaints. And so if you have a complaint that's public health related, whether it's rodent or other sanitary conditions in restaurants, if it's rodent complaint, you would file the complaint through the Permanent Arlington system. If it's other sanitation related issues, you would file that complaint using the email address at ehealth@arlingtonva.us. Regarding code, zoning and code enforcement, those complaints can be filed through the Permanent Arlington system. If you're not familiar with the Permanent Arlington system, here's the way to get to it. You access the county's homepage, and at the top search bar, you can type in permit, and then Permanent Arlington, a link to the Permanent Arlington webpage will pop up. From there, in the current on the webpage, on the Permanent Arlington webpage, you will see to the right hand side at the top blue box the link for people to access the portal. And then from there, once you get to the portal, if you already have a Permanent Arlington account, you can go ahead and sign in. If you don't, you can create an account. And once you create an account or sign in, at the upper left-hand corner where it says create, you can select that, and there'll be a drop-down box. You can select enforcement application, and you can file your complaint through there. As a reminder to establishments, please review your live entertainment use permit conditions. So you're just familiar with it. If you have new management, sit down with them, go over it. Also, look at your tips training, make sure everybody's up to date on your tips training and things of that sort. And I'll leave that there. And next, we can go to the community if they have any feedback from the other things that they heard today or want to comment and circle back to some of the previous conversation. All right. Nobody has, I see. John?
Yes, thanks, Cedric. Thanks for sharing that with us, Cedric. The reason I happened to ask Cedric about it today, because we were out for a walk and went by a dumpster at one of the establishments that's actually here on the call. And there was a lot of trash. There were broken bottles. There was food lying on the ground next to the dumpster. It sounded like exactly what we don't want to do. So I did send that to the eHealth and also Permit Arlington this afternoon. So anyway, we appreciate that most of the places don't do this, but occasionally it does crop up. So I'm glad that Cedric shared with us how we can report that, so that we can minimize the number of rodents that we see in the community and not needlessly feed them. I also want to thank Aaron for joining us today, giving his update. That was really helpful to all of us. And we look forward to working with the initiatives there on all the teams. And also, it was nice to meet our new police reps. So we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Any other community comments before we move on? Going once, going twice. All right, next, we'll move to restaurant group comments. Anybody else from the restaurant group have any other comments or concerns they want to express towards the group? All right, going once, going twice. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. This is a reminder, we'll have another CLEG meeting in the spring. To reiterate again, in May, we'll have a county board review. Hopefully we can keep it on the consent agenda, but if not, there'll be a public hearing where your presence will be required, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Again, if there's business struggling out there that need help, please contact Arlington Economic Development. They're here to help. Please reach out to them before things, before you have to end up closing. We would hate to see that happen. Hopefully they can help help you out with any issues you may be having. Lastly, I'm always here. You can contact me 703-228-3589. Or my email, csutherland, Sutherland with the O, at arlingtonva.us. No other concerns or questions that will conclude this meeting. We can adjourn.
Cedric?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I may have missed the opportunity. I'm a resident on Irving Street. I'm not affiliated with a group or a restaurant, but I did have a question and a comment.
Yes.
I'm sorry, excuse me for butting in when everybody's probably ready to leave, but I'm concerned about trash along the street. And I believe for a while the county was sending somebody along every day, or at least on Mondays, to pick up trash from Roslyn to Ballston, at least according to the man who was doing it. I wanted to know whether that program was in effect, or whether there are any other steps that are being taken by the county or by the owners to minimize the trash in the gutters, particularly near the Clarendon Metro.
I know in the Clarendon area, we've been working on, and staff has been internally pushing, trying to get trash cans and things in that area. With Roslyn and the Boston, they have bids and they have certain authorities and monies to levy to put out their trash cans and do collections and things of that sort. Clarendon doesn't have such of a organization, and so it's been kind of a struggle trying to get that to happen. So we've been pushing internally to see if there's a way creatively to get that accomplished. But please send me an email, and I can forward that to the proper authorities, and they can follow up with you about how they're moving forward.
Okay, and do you know whether there is somebody assigned to do trash pickup along that area?
No, I'm not, and that's why your email will be helpful, and I can find out, and I can forward you to the appropriate department.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions or concerns? Going once, going twice. All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Oh, one last thing. I forgot. I need to take roll again. I see the Barbell his logged on. They sent me an email. Buena Vida. Is anybody here from Buena Vida? All right, and East West Cafe. Anybody else from any other community groups that may not have identified themselves previously? All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your participation.